Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching our video. This is a story of a totem pole, episode 2. I am Penguin Speaks, along with
Sigma.
And you know what I need to do? I need to put a sign and stick it to my camera that says, "Look here." I find it so hard to look into the camera, especially when I'm talking to you and you're sitting right there. You know what I mean? It's difficult.
It is.
Anyway, all right. What's going on in the world today? So apparently, there's a good chance that Trump is actually going to win the primary election.
Okay. So I think didn't he win New Hampshire, or is that still undecided yet? I can't remember. I think
I'm pretty sure he won New Hampshire because I think you're going to South Carolina next.
He's going to win by a landslide. And here's why I say that. That is Nikki Haley's territory. That's her home state. People don't even
South Carolina is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think it is. That's from what I've read.
Well, I mean, she's got to be from somewhere, but well, be South Carolina, right?
Yeah, honestly, people don't like her there.
Well, and she is. I mean, he's winning in both states. I think he won by like 20% of the votes or something like that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot in a primary. When there's just two people.
I don't see him winning the general, but I do see him.
You think she's going to beat him in the general?
Maybe.
I mean,
unless something turns around, I mean.
Well, okay, I haven't heard of anybody coming forward. I mean, they can't come forward now for the Republican Party. They would have to come forward as an independent.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know. I don't see anybody beating him at this point, because the Republicans they don't want a female president.
Yeah, that's.
They don't want a female vice president, so I don't think he would choose her as a running mate.
He would.
It really surprised me that DeSantis dropped out before the primary in New Hampshire. It really surprised me that he dropped out before that.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
He gave his support and everything, and that's a not a bad thing, but it's kind of a. I mean, it was just a surprise to me. You know what I mean? I don't know. But
DeSantis dropping out just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the only reason I can think of it is if he's dropping out to become a running mate.
He might.
I don't know.
I'm going to say this: if Trump picks DeSantis as his running mate, that's it. He's losing support from Florida. Because people do not like this. Out of everyone, if you were to take everyone who supports DeSantis, you'd be able to put them in Miami. All of them in Miami. That's it.
Well, but let me ask this, because I don't remember, because the 2020 election was such a snafu anyway.
It was weird.
Did Trump win Florida in 20?
He did.
Are you sure?
He won Florida. He didn't win Georgia, but he won Florida.
Well, I know he didn't win Georgia. That's for sure. He didn't win Pennsylvania, and I don't understand. And I'm gonna say this again to you people. They were counting votes. It was 11 o'clock midnight, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna cease. We're gonna postpone suspend vote counting in Pennsylvania. We will resume at 8 o'clock in the morning." I got up at 6, only to learn that Trump had lost Pennsylvania.
And here's my whole thing with that. I think, let's just say they did go with their word and continue to count the vote. I think Trump still would have lost. There's not that much support for Trump here. I'm sorry. There's not that much support here, especially down in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm looking something up here, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up the state results. I want to see.
And
2020.
You want to know something funny about this whole fraudulent thing with the election?
What?
Trump hired a investigator to see if the the election was fraud. You know what came up? There were more votes for Biden that were not counted.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why Trump is in hot water in the courts, because he's being accused of bribing state officials and stuff to figure out a way to make him win. And that's kind of a no-no.
I can kind of see it.
So we have, actually, you know what? I need to change this to the presidential election and not.
But I don't think he'll win.
220.
I don't think he'll win the presidential election. I don't
stop.
see it.
I hate ads. I hate ads.
Ads suck.
They do. They really, really do. Historical presidential elections. Okay, this site has to verify the security of my Jesus Christ. Okay, so so Trump did win Florida.
He did win Florida. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Was it Georgia or was it
he lost Georgia, but there was a big to do in Georgia as well.
Oh yeah.
Georgia and Pennsylvania. Those are two swing states. If he'd have won both of those, he would have won.
He would have won, but he didn't.
But I think he would have. I don't know.
He wouldn't. If he I think if he won those states, he would have won. But there is a lot more. Here's my prediction. I think if DeSantis becomes his running mate, I think he's going to lose Florida. Maybe. With Pennsylvania,
I don't know. There's still a lot of people. I mean, there's still a lot of people who like DeSantis, though.
But also you got to think about this. There are, and I've seen this in comments on Instagram, Facebook, hell, even Twitter, even though I don't go on there anymore, that says, I am a Republican, but if Trump becomes the presidential candidate, I will be voting for third party or Biden. Or whoever, or insert Democrat here.
But it's like a vote for Biden is almost a vote for the death of this country. And you know what? So. He's just too old and senile, man.
He is. But you could almost say the same thing about Trump.
Well, he's in his 70s. There's no doubt about that.
Well, okay.
But he's not acting senile. He's not falling down, going upstairs.
We also
3-4 times on the same stairs.
Okay, I've done.
Am I right?
I've done that before. Anyway, but let's think about stuff Trump. I'm not even talking about mean things he said. I'm talking about how much. Okay, he's talking about the Revolutionary War, how we won this country. We fought back against the British.
Right.
We took the airfields. 100 or so years before airplanes were actually made, we took the airfields. That is a legit quote from him.
Well, I mean, okay, I think that was just a mistake, because we know that land and sea were the two big. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have airplanes back then.
That's just being ignorant of history. That just shows you don't know anything about history.
No. Hang on, man. That doesn't mean you don't know anything about history.
That just means you don't really understand history.
He made it. It's like Obama, when he was campaigning back in 2006, I guess it was, maybe. Or 8 or whenever it was, he was talking about going to all the states. How many are there? 52, 53? Didn't know about how many states there were. Now, I would say that's a more severe mistake to make than saying something about an airfield in the Revolutionary War.
No. I don't think so.
Even immigrants coming to this country who take a test for citizenship have to know how many states we have.
That is...
Okay, not territories, states.
And the whole debacle with whether he's from the U.S. That is proof he is from the U.S. because I have heard many Americans say how many states we have. There are a lot of Americans that don't know we have 50 states that think we have 40.
Well, 40? I don't know about all that. That's kind of...
Then again, there are some people that think the Confederate States still exist, but are just in hiding.
The Confederate States do still exist.
Well, I mean, listen, like the actual country of the Confederacy.
I lived in Alabama, and you hear a lot, the South shall rise again. You hear that a lot.
Yeah, and then get totally obliterated.
They would. I mean, I agree with that, but, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just...
It'd be. I mean, just imagine the scene. I'd imagine a scene from Lord of the Rings where an uprising happening and a dragon shows.
Well, here I'm going to throw this at you. What's one of the main reasons why the South won in the Civil War? I mean, why the South lost in the Civil War? See, I guess I couldn't be president because I just made a major faux pas. But what's one of the major reasons why the South lost?
Many reasons. Not enough manpower. But for one.
Well, that's not the reason I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is because of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah,
you had, they had steel and stuff and manufacturing, fabrication and things like that in the North that they didn't have in the South. Well, guess what? The only steel mills that's still active in our country, where are they?
North.
South.
South?
They're in the South, yeah. That's why I ended up in Alabama. My dad worked for National Tube and McKeesport for U.S. Steel, and they shut it down. We ended up going to Alabama because they reopened Fairfield Works. That's where he worked at until he retired. I mean, that's how I ended up in Alabama.
Well, that's a big kick in the teeth to the Confederacy.
Well,
without steel, you don't got guns. Without guns, what do you got? Swords? Cavalry?
Bow and arrow.
Hey, a bow and arrow is still...
Did you hear me when I'm talking last night that I told her, or today, whatever it was, that I found out that my brother and I, if we chose to have it this way, if it was in our wishes after we die, that we could have military funeral because my dad was in the Air Force.
I could have a military funeral too.
And you could because of your mom, but I mean, that's weird.
Which, here's the thing, that doesn't make sense because I didn't serve. That military funeral was...
But you were dependent of somebody who did serve.
But it doesn't matter. Military funerals should only be for people who served. Like, I don't get...
Well, that's your Uncle Tracy is all about, who pays for something and the cost of something. And because the military funeral would be, I mean, the service and everything would be free. The only thing that you'd have to pay for is if you had a casket. That's the only thing you'd have to pay for. But that's all that, that's all that, whatever my dad's wife's name was, that's all that she had to pay for was a casket.
Well,
so, I mean, I don't know.
And I brought up the thing of how not the military, but more of veterans and soldiers should be treated better in this country by their own government.
Oh, I agree.
A little history lesson here. Let's go all the way back to the 1700s, Sweden. It was owned by...
Do we have to?
Yes. Carolus Rex. Anyone who served under Carolus Rex, also King Carl II, I think, third, you get free housing, free food for you and your family until you stop serving or you die.
Well, I
and
mean,
even then, I think if you die, the service goes beyond to your family.
Well, see, I think one of the reasons, and Tracy asked me this, is it only for if you die if your parent is in active duty, and that's not the case. But I think one of the reasons why this started was because of families were uprooted a lot in the military. I mean, think about look at a lot of people that like even rock stars that moved around a lot because one of their parents was in the military.
Yeah.
And I think that's why. I think it's basically saying, your parents the one who actually served, but you kind of served too. I mean, you went through hell too by having to move every couple of months or whatever.
I never really had to because of military. It's just literally because you guys just wanted to move all around the places. Where's next?
Looking back, I feel bad.
Where's next? Washington?
Yeah, that's probably right. And not D.C. I want to go out west. That's where I want to spend my last a couple trips around the sun.
Yeah, I probably won't be in this country.
You wouldn't want to go out and live out west.
It depends.
Originally I said that I would like to live like in Colorado, Wyoming, and places like that, but it's too freaking cold. I mean, no, it's too cold.
Which is weird because you're towards the south, which it gets really hot.
Well, it's because it's all open plains and stuff, man. There's nothing, here you have mountains and stuff to protect from wind and things. Yeah, we get snow. I mean, we got, total about 6 inches?
About that.
This year. So, I mean, we get a little bit of snow, but, they get blizzards and shit out there. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, hopefully, it probably won't happen. I'm getting my hopes up, but hopefully I'll be up north.
Yeah, I know you want to leave the country.
I'll be at our neighbors up north.
Yeah. Well, a strange thing happened the other day. Sigma and I were watching videos and stuff, and we were talking about guitars that bands use in video, especially from the 80s, and 90s. But one of the videos that I brought up was the guitar that was used by Keith Scott, who is the guitar player for Bryan Adams, in the video for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, for the song "Everything I Do It For You." And I was looking to find the video. I couldn't find this video anywhere. I mean, I searched high and low, couldn't find it. His first thing, you sure it's not a Mandela effect? No, it's not a Mandela effect. This was the original release of this video. They showed the band, they showed scenes from the movies and everything like that. It wasn't just a live stage show. And that's what it is now. That's what the official video is now. And it took me a while. And then I found a video on YouTube that the guy said, Bryan Adams, everything had to do, Mandela effect. And I'm like, no, this is not a Mandela effect. This actually happened. And then I found deep in the boards of Reddit.
Reddit of all places.
Of all places, where somebody posted a link to a video. It wasn't on YouTube, it was somewhere else, and it was the video I was talking about.
And
of them playing there in like the forest. It's kind of foggy and everything, but they show scenes from the movie. And that's what I tell myself. I knew I was right. I could have been suicidal if that was the case.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, that was some crazy.
And then later we found out they took it off of YouTube. The production company got
right. I don't remember the name of the companies, but the production in 2016, I think it was.
They got bought out.
The production company they sold out, and whoever bought them took that video down. So it doesn't exist on a platform. I mean, this is just like, Joe's website or something that had this video. I mean, it's crazy. And, but I knew it existed. I knew there wasn't, it wasn't a Mandela effect. I mean, there's a lot of Mandela effects that's out there, but this just wasn't one of them.
Even though I thought it was, I'm like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
You sure about that? Speaking of Mandela effects, there's every day there's more videos about here's the next 20 Mandela effects. Some of them that I'm
aware
of and wrapped up in, and some of them I guess I've been duped by. I mean, let's talk about a couple of them. One of the major ones has to do with Britney Spears and her song "Oops, I Did It Again."
And I remember in the video she had it, but then again, I have seen her play. Not actually seen her play live, but I've seen videos of her playing live, and she has a earpiece microphone.
She was actually one of the first artists to wear one of those like that. Just a little thing, because of all her dancing. Even Madonna didn't use one of those as much dancing as she did, but Britney Spears did because of all the choreograph that she did. But no, she did not wear it in the video. Yeah. However, and this is also what threw people off. They're thinking of the live performances, and when they came out with the Britney Spears doll,
it had
a mic on there, and she was in the "Oops, I Did It Again" red leather jumpsuit. So Sorry people, she didn't wear it.
She did not wear it. It wouldn't make sense to wear it in a music video unless the music video was a live video.
Well, yeah, but that rarely. It's usually a live stage performance. It's the only really live videos they make. So, all right. Here's one. How about Jif peanut butter?
Jif peanut butter. See, I've always seen it as Jif, not Jiffy.
Yeah, Jiffy. But you know what? Here's where I think that comes from. The commercial in the 70s for Jif peanut butter was choosy mothers choose Jif.
There.
Choosy mothers, Jiffy peanut butter. That could have been where, they got that kind of turned around.
Jiffy, yeah.
I mean, that could be for that one. Here's one, Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Looney Tunes was spelled Toons because, well, they were cartoons.
My mind is seeing it both ways, but like when I would rarely watch.
Well, they were kind of gone by the time you were around.
Well, there were still some, like, they still had like Bugs Bunny a little, and they still had Wild Coyote? Wiley Coyote. That's another one.
Well, I mean, they took them off the air for a long time because they were deemed to be too violent.
I mean,
like people were going to go out and they were going to drop an anvil off a building and land on their head.
Well, I mean, you gotta think that's sort of the same thing as like horror movies. The MPAA or whatever it's called.
What?
The MPAA. They were responsible for the reason the third movie of Friday the 13th wasn't as gory as it should have been.
Well, okay.
That's basically what that's coming from.
Wouldn't making real live Looney Tunes cartoons, that'd be a cool movie. But no, that'd be Jackass.
Okay.
That'd be Jackass.
That would be Jackass.
Gee, I swear, Jackass. I've been watching a lot of videos with Steve-O, and he's been having people like Johnny Knoxville and Bam on his show. It's called Steve-O's Wild Ride. And I tell you what, all those guys are crazy, man. I mean,
they are.
Did you know that he didn't actually meet Bam until they started making the second movie? They were both in the first one, but he never met him because everything they did was kind of on their own. They weren't a group yet.
Yeah, they weren't the Jackass.
I think that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Oscar Mayer?
See,
people say Oscar Mayer.
I've
Oscar
always
Mayer.
seen it as Oscar Mayer. Anytime I would see, it's always Oscar Mayer. But it's probably the song.
The song, anybody watching was alive in the 70s. My baloney has a first name. It's Oscar. My baloney has a second name. It's Mayer.
Sorry.
And I remember thinking about that then. Why is it May? It's Oscar Mayer. I actually worked with a girl. Her last name was Mayer. Her name was Michelle Mayer. So, when you think back and you look at this stuff and you piece them together, it's things that make you go,
Yeah. Well, what about the original Mandela effect? The reason it got its name in the first place, Nelson Mandela. Everyone, including my own teacher, my own history teacher, thought he died in prison.
In the 80s.
In the 80s.
See, I knew of Mandela back in the 80s. I mean, I was never a big history buff type person. I didn't know whether he died or not, but I knew he died in 2013. And that's where this Mandela effect, that's where it comes from. Because people say, wait a minute, didn't he die back in the, no, he didn't.
Apparently not. And that's where this whole thing stems from.
How many times is this man going to die? This is one that I was not aware of is Skechers. The shoes.
Yeah, I've never seen it with the T.
I always thought it had a T in there, Skechers.
I've never seen it with a T.
Because without the T, I guess it'd be pronounced Skechers. by using grammar.
Skechers.
Because there's a Skechers. I don't know. I guess ch chair. Well, I don't know, but that one got me.
But also, sketch has a T in it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're not saying these are shoes for artists. I don't know. Fruit Loops.
See, I'm always seeing it as FROOT. Many people are saying it's Fruit Loops. I've never seen it like that.
And I think that's because I think the box shows some fruit on there, and they're supposed to have a fruit flavor, even though they all taste the same. The different colors are not different flavors of fruit. They all there's only one flavor.
And that's another thing. To be fair, I haven't had Fruit Loops in forever, but to me, they don't have a flavor. It's just like you eat Cheerios.
Well, they have a flavor. They have a sweet flavor.
It's like eating sweet Cheerios.
Eating what?
Sweet Cheerios. That's what it tastes like to me. Sweet Cheerios.
I've never heard of sweet Cheerios. So.
No, I'm saying like you put some like strawberry Cheerios or something.
Well,
never really had a flavor. I never could
maybe
what flavor it
I don't
was,
know.
But
what's another Monopoly Man monocle?
Never seen him with a monocle.
Does he wear a monocle or doesn't he? And I don't know why people started that. I mean, I never remember the Monopoly Man looking like Colonel Klink. I mean, I never remembered it that way.
Think about all of the movies where it shows like a slumlord or like back in like the 1800s to 1900s, like movies set in during that decade. Think about how many times someone who's owned a big bank and how many times you've seen them with a monocle and a bag.
That's true. I mean,
I think that's where that comes from.
That's his last name is Moneybags or something like that, isn't it?
It's like
Uncle Moneybags, Uncle Pennywinks, Uncle Pennywinks.
Yeah, Uncle Pennywinks.
Something like that. I mean, that's his name, but yeah, I don't know. Well, this is one I have no idea about because I'm not familiar with it, and that's Pikachu's tail. What's the story behind that?
So, a lot of people think Pikachu in the animated series that came out in like 1994 or 1997. I can't remember when it came out. They thought he had and even on the cards, they thought he had on his tail, a brown little streak. He's never had a brown streak, ever. Or even black streak. Now, his upgraded form from him does have one, I believe. Maybe that's another Mandela for me, but he's never had one. And I think where that comes from is his original game, Pokemon Yellow. It was a discoloration in his tail that made it look like he had a streak.
So Pikachu is a Pokemon.
Yeah. In fact, the very first Pokemon I played was Diamond.
I know that it became popular with like Pokemon cards and in the game, and then Yu-Gi-Oh came out.
Yu-Gi-Oh! I love Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I used to work with a kid when I was manager of a fast food place, and he was a world finalist for playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. I've never learned how to play the Pokemon game, but I kind of get the gist of it. But like big card games like Magic: The Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! are ones that I know how to play. I even have some Magic cards. I don't really understand any of that. I mean, I've played War, Gin. War is cool.
Hearts, Spades, just about any other card game. Now, my parents used to play Pinochle. They used to play. My mom and dad used to play with my pap and my grandma all the time. The only thing I know about it is you only use the face cards. That's all I know about the game, and it's weird because I remember them saying my pap used to cheat.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, here's another interesting one, and this is because you are using stop using drugs are bad.
Drugs bad.
You are going back and rewatching a lot of vintage horror movies.
Yep.
Such as Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and stuff like that. And so I ask you, what color was Freddy Krueger's shirt? The very first thing out of your mouth was incorrect. You said...
I said red and black, but I went back and said red and green. Because when I imagined it, It was when he was in the base. It wasn't in the basement. It was in her dream. When I imagined it, it was in her dream where she's running between. It was like a factory, and she's running in between pipes and stuff in the very first movie. And you can't really see the green because it's only lit by certain lights, but it's so dark that it's black, but it's really green.
Well,
because even if you look at the photos, there's one of what's his name, Robert Englund, holding up the Freddy shirt. Yeah, holding
Englund, not England.
Englund. Yeah, I've always heard it.
I know, but that's
but he's holding up the shirt and it's red and green.
You know, well, here's the weird part about it: the Halloween costumes were red and black.
Yeah.
And
they were.
That's kind of weird.
And I think it comes from most of the scenes were really dark anyway, so you really couldn't make out the green, only red and black.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where that comes from, because that's how I made the mistake of red and black, even though I know it's red and green.
Well, here's one from my favorite candy bar, and that is a Kit Kat. And the Mandela effect is people think the Kit Kat is separate. The words are separated by a hyphen.
I've always seen it as a hyphen.
You've never seen it as a hyphen because
it
never had a hyphen. It never had a hyphen. So, but that was it doesn't have one. Here's one, double stuffed Oreo.
It doesn't have the second F.
It doesn't have the second F.
It
doesn't have the ED. It's just double stuff, STUF.
Okay, now that
here's I just polished off a bottle. I just polished off a box of Oreos, and I didn't even think to look. I mean, I never remember having stuffed. Okay, here's a good one. Luke, I am your father. Misquoted from day one.
I don't know where. I don't know where that comes from.
I don't either, but I mean, there's a lot of things. There was a Tommy Boy or one of those movies. He was behind a fan. He went, "Luke, I am your father." You know what I mean? So I mean, it's
like even let's just say it's like, "No, I am your father." I'm for some reason I'm hearing a "No, Luke, I."
He didn't say Luke. He just said no, and I don't remember the conversation of why he would say no, correcting him about his father. Were they talking about his father?
Yeah.
And he said, his dad, blah, blah, no, I'm your father.
Yeah, because he was talking about, Obi-Wan said, "You killed my father." No, I am your father. I always knew it was beginning no, but right, I always thought there was Luke. Basically saying, I know who you are.
I mean, that's one of the most famous Mandela effects ever.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Here's a good one. The color chartreuse. There's been a lot of debate about this. People saying they grew up thinking, chartreuse was a shade of red or pink.
I mean, they would, yeah.
I always knew it. I mean, chartreuse green. Actually, it got so bad, this one girl was freaking out. She went and got her box of, she's older though, but she got her box of 64 Crayolas, and then she got a box of like the 128 Crayolas, and looking through every color, every shade of red to try to find it. Nope, it was on green. Chartreuse has always been green. That kind of reminds me of that, remember that dress that circulated the image of whether it was red or green or blue or pink?
It was black or blue and white and gold. See, now here's the thing with that. It all depends on the context of the photo of being uploaded. The original photo, even the person who took the photo says it's black and blue. The original person who took the photo said that. But it depends on, one, how your contrast is, and
I would
two,
think it
how your
depends on the
brightness.
lighting of the room you're looking at.
Yeah, that's it too. But it's black and blue. The original person who uploaded it said it's black and blue.
All right, now here's a good one. Forrest Gump. One of everybody's favorite movies, one of their favorite movies. I watched it when it came out. I didn't go to the movies and see it. The first time it was on like a movie channel or whatnot. Your mom and I actually watched it in the first apartment we lived in together. We watched it, and
He's old.
I guess I don't know which side of the fence I'm on this one, because I never thought about it. But, life is like a box of chocolates. Apparently, that's not what this saying is. It's life was like a box of chocolates.
And that doesn't make sense either. And the reason I say that, because the exact line is, my mama said life is always like a box of chocolates.
Always was not in there.
Mama I added
Mama
that by
always,
accident.
No, she said Mama always said.
Yeah, I added that by accident.
But it makes sense.
Mama said.
I mean,
that's another Mandela.
I'm going to give you another example, okay? If his mother was telling him about World War II, and it the worst war ever, even though she may have said, she could say it is the worst war ever, because it's not that it's in the present, that is the worst war ever. But in past tense, with him telling the story, Mama said it was the worst war ever. And I think that's where this confusion comes from.
Yeah, because the reason I say it could actually be was in the movie, but I'm saying is because he's quoting. He's making a direct quote. He's not saying,
But when you're telling somebody something that was said in the past, and at that time his mother was dead, I mean, I could see him using the word was.
I can see it, but it's like...
And that movie was so intricate as far as scenes and everything. I could see them saying, hey, we need to change this grammar from is to was. It may have been is originally.
Yeah, but...
It could have been is in the original screenplay.
Well, because... Again, at that point, it's like... Either would be grammatically correct depending on what the context is. Because like I'm saying... He's making the direct quote.
Either way would be acceptable.
Either way would be acceptable because he's making a direct quote from his mother, word for word.
Right.
Would be in there.
All right, and this one, hello, Clarice.
Hello, Clarice.
From Silence of the Lambs.
However, apparently you never said that.
That was never in Silence of the Lambs. And this is what, because the first time she met him, he didn't know who she was.
I'm not on that movie yet, but
that's a good movie. Now, in the movie Hannibal, he called her and said, hello, Clarice. I think people were confusing that.
Yeah, it's like even famous metal band, Ice Nine Kills, they made a song about Silence of the Lambs. What's the very first line they say in the song? Hello, Clarice, nothing's free at this meet and greet.
Well, so they got it wrong too. They got sucked into the Mandela effect.
Yeah, I either that or they were just combining that with.
Could be.
They were purposely doing that, but
could be.
That does sound like something they would do.
All right, and the last one that I'm going to bring up is Mr. Rogers' theme song. Now, I grew up with Mr. Rogers.
No, I've only watched a few episodes.
Yeah, I don't think you did. He wasn't a big thing. I mean, he got replaced by like Bob the Builder, Thomas.
Yeah. I did watch
Wiggles.
I did watch
Teletubbies, a freaking Teletubby. Oh my god.
Teletubby.
Anyway, and it's how the song starts. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. But that's not the correct singing of the song. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. It's this, not this.
I've always heard it's a beautiful day in the.
It's not. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, because he was all about his,
Like now that I'm remembering it, yeah, I'm hearing him say this, like because he had an emphasis on the S at the end.
Right.
But I think that's mostly just because of how the camera's quality was back then, and the mic quality back when.
Yeah, Mr. That was, and that originated here in Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, all that was WQED, and that was the public television in Pittsburgh. All the stuff, Romper Room, electric company, all that stuff started. It eventually got moved out to other cities.
Yeah.
But it all started here in Pittsburgh. It was in Pittsburgh that he testified in court about, you know, how basically dedicated he was to helping children. You know, and his shows, I mean, you know, he would talk about things that just, you didn't talk about that on TV, like, you know, divorce. You know, he would talk in his shows and say, you know, some families have only a mommy, some families only have a daddy. And, you know, and that's okay. And he taught kids that things like that were not their fault. And I mean, he helped a lot of kids. I mean, I like the show.
It's another thing with his show. He was the very first show to ever allow a black man onto.
No, he's not the first show, but
I'm pretty sure he was.
No, there was. I mean, there was stuff back then like Heat of the Night and stuff. I mean, there were shows that had black people in it.
He was one of the very first shows like that.
But you know, yeah, I mean, he was. Let's say he was probably one of them.
I think he was one of the.
But you know, just one time, I wish, you know, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. A beautiful day. Oh damn! Somebody stole my sneakers. You know.
That one.
Let's do some things that you can do around the house. Let's put Mr. Hamster in a microwave, okay? These are actually lines from Robin Williams' stand-up. He made fun of Fred Rogers.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was things that came out about how Mr. Rogers was the way he was because he was a Vietnam vet and he had to kill kids over there and stuff like that. And he swore he'd never hurt another kid and only help them. That was all false. It was, I think, him and Captain Kangaroo were both supposedly from, you know, served in the military and stuff. And Captain Kangaroo, I think he did serve, but it was a false narrative that somebody came up with. And that's sad that somebody actually tried to blackmark him like that. I mean, you know, if you watch the movie I did with Tom Hanks, that was a great movie where he played Fred Rogers. I mean, that was a really good movie. Yeah. And most of it's true about how he was, you know, on and off the camera. And I think that it's just interesting. One thing I didn't realize is he actually played the piano for all the you know, piano cutaways and stuff like that. He actually played the piano. But I remember I always wanted an electric trolley like that, though. Ding, 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 ding. I always wanted one. I mean, but, you know, never got one.
Sad. Very sad.
I mean, yeah, it's sad. I mean, I can say my childhood sucked. I mean, it did. I mean, you know, something I don't really talk about a lot or go into detail, but it could have been a lot better than what it was. Let's just put it that way. All right, we are about 45 minutes into this. That's about 15 minutes than it was longer. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Ring the bell so you know when we upload. But we're going to try to upload every Saturday at 8 o'clock. And the plan, Sigma and I were talking about it. The plan is we may go live next Saturday.
Maybe.
Just to, you know, I mean, we probably won't even get any visitors pop in. But if we do, you know, hey, the more the merrier. But even if you don't catch the show, you can catch the upload of the video of it.
Yeah.
That's always fun. I mean, you know, when you go live, it's easier because it's live, you do less editing about things. I mean, you have to have stuff ready right then, but then again, you get all the mistakes and all the screw ups and all the texts from people.
Exactly.
On there. So anyway, for now, this is Penguin saying, be somebody important, be yourself. And this is
Sigma.
So for now, we'll catch you next time. Peace out.